And, I have normies texting me, should I sell my Bitcoin? It seems like the herd is starting to come back. Where do you think we are in the cycle?
First of all, I think it's good that normies are texting you whether they should sell. That means that we are pretty far away from euphoria yet. That is direct anecdotal evidence that we are far away from like a global top, in my opinion. Not financial advice, of course. But during an actual global top, you'll have like everybody from your grandma to the Uber driver kind of buying, rather than asking you whether they should sell. So I think it's a good signal. And where we are in the cycle, I think being bearish here doesn't really make sense. Literally every indicator from politics to macro to BTC new highs is all pointing towards, the way I see it is we have 1 year of bullishness left. Very simple. And, it's a lot of people debate whether the 4-year cycle is going to repeat or not. I think it will, because, A, self-fulfilling prophecy, B, like the market kind of almost like positions itself for that, C, BTC halving effects, although they are getting weaker and weaker each time, but I still think they're somewhat present, and D, the macro. There are theories about a 3.5-year cycle in macro. There are theories about a 4.5-year cycles in macro, but whichever way you cut it, I think eventually the 4-year cycle will break, but I wouldn't be surprised if it plays out one more time.
Got it. And remind me, is this your third or fourth cycle?
I jokingly call it 3.5 because I first got involved in 2013, but only seriously, I would say 2016, 2017. So you could call it my third.
Got it. Okay. So this is my second cycle, but this is the first time where I've experienced a full bear in 2022. And now, we're just starting to go parabolic. Because last time I joined in like mid 2020, right? I was just in the right place, right time. And one thing I noticed is that my friends, the crypto natives, they all have this PTSD. It's like, oh my God, we've endured so much. We're starting to pump. It kind of feels frothy here. How do you, like for someone like me, how do you recommend for me to shed my bear market PTSD and just embrace that we do have 6 to 12 months left in the bull cycle?
Yeah, there's a lot of urban myths and kind of folklore legends in crypto where people call second cyclers, they're like a little bit too careful or a little bit too conservative. So that's something to definitely pay attention to. What I would say is, the bear market is definitely behind us, and in a bull market, and especially in the 4th year of the cycle, which I believe we're entering, your kind of like dumbest and most delusional friend is going to outperform everybody, right? He's going to outperform quant PhDs, right? So the closer we get to the 4th year, which I believe we're entering right now, the more bullish you should be, right? And I think right now is not the time to be bearish. And yeah, I mean, BTC funding very high, leverage very high, so we can have some dips in the short to medium term, but medium to long term, I think for the next, I would call it 8 to 14 months, you want to remain as bullish as you can and just get into the best coins and simply hold them.
Yeah, the mantra you've been sharing is stop trading and believe in something. And I'm finally getting there. I'm going to believe in my bags. I do want to pivot the conversation to your meme coin supercycle thesis. And you did this talk at Token 2049. I think the YouTube video has like 200,000 views. I'm not even exaggerating. I've listened to it like 15 times on 2x speed just to drill it into my brain. I'm sure everyone knows it, but can you kind of just rehash your supercycle thesis that you laid out at Token 2049? Like, why do you think it's happening? Like internal, external, problems within the space, and just meme coin targets.
Absolutely, yeah. I will be brief so as to not waste the audience's time rehashing everything like detail by detail. But it comes down to a bunch of trends. And I think some of these trends are inside of the crypto industry and some of these trends are outside of the crypto industry. And I think a lot of people on crypto Twitter, they're focused predominantly on the former, but I think you need to kind of study the latter as well, because it may be just as much, if not even more important. So first of all, inside the crypto industry, there are too many tokens, and the number of tokens is arguably growing at a faster pace than the pace of kind of money inflow into altcoins, right? Makes perfect sense. Second of all, and this is probably the biggest reason, the new launches of like altcoins, they happen at way too high valuations, right? In 2014 and 2017, you could buy Ethereum, Binance Coin, Chainlink for 27 million, 30 million, 33 million. Reasonable valuations, in my opinion. Today, you have some projects which have 0 users and 0 revenue launching at 25 billion. So that's 1,000 times more, 1,000 times, right? These people have lost all sense of shame and guilt. You know, it's obviously completely extracted, right? It's just crazy, right? Now, you know, it's becoming absolutely obvious this cycle that crypto, not just now, but always has been about the community. That's the most important thing, right? And when I use the word cults, I essentially mean super, super strong communities on steroids, right? And the problem is the only way to build cults is to make poor people rich, period. That's the only way you can build cult, because when you have poor people becoming upper middle class, call it, right? They're going to quit their jobs. They're going to make the coin their whole identity, and they're going to essentially be full-time, unpaid evangelists for the project that are going to be utterly obsessed. And that's actually the biggest recipe for any kind of coin success, right? Now, you've already seen this with Link, Cardano, XRP. The reason they have such diehard communities is because poor people rode up the whole journey from literal like 10 million to billions, and they were there for the entire journey, right? These things didn't launch at 25 billion, and that is key. So, you know, a lot of people, they're very angry about this, and people are realizing that, you know, altcoins have been meme coins all along, and B, it was never about the software. It was always about the token. So like young people, but also like smart retail overall, they're essentially realizing that if it's all about the token and all about the community rather than the software, then we can create our own, right? And to put it all in perspective, I think the meme coin supercycle actually started in December of 2013 when Dogecoin got created. And if you actually, like, everybody thinks that meme coin supercycle is like this cycle's thing, but I think it's actually a very logical progression. Why? Because during the 2017 top, you had one meme coin. It was Doge. During the 2021 top, you had about 3,000 of them, the famous dog season with Shib and Flocky and a bunch of others. And right now, you already have like 15 million of them. And so clearly, every 4 years, there's more and more and more of them. And frankly, I think that's going to continue all the way up until the point of hyper-Bitcoinization. That's what I believe. And I think there's just going to be more and more and more of them. We should all be mentally prepared for literal billions, quadrillions of meme coins, right? Now, that's kind of inside the industry, right? Outside the industry, you have a bunch of other trends going on. Obviously, you know, family formation is at an all-time low in the Western world. Fertility is at an all-time low in the Western world. Religiosity is at an all-time low in the Western world. You know, AI is definitely coming for people's jobs. It's already replacing different sectors, and people know that it's going to get more and more competitive in literally every single field. You know, most importantly, income inequality and wealth inequality are super high. And actually outside of the West, it's even worse. And last but not least, all of this is happening during the background of rapid kind of money printing and inflation, which is actually, in my opinion, is the single biggest force driving all of this forward, both BTC as well as meme coins, right? And, you know, the thing is, a lot of people pitch meme coins as a counterattack against VCs, and that's definitely part of the equation. I would call it 30% of the equation. But the 70% of the equation is actually Zoomers simply trying to survive. Zoomers and millennials. Why? Because all of the wealth, status, money, and power is actually in the hands of boomers, Gen X, and even the silent generation to some extent. So essentially, older generations, they have pretty much, they literally own absolutely everything, both in terms of wealth and income. And, you know, the only thing that Zoomers are good at is social media. And I believe that essentially Zoomers are forcing the creation of a new asset class because the meme coins, they exist on social media more than anything else. And social media is the only domain where young people control that domain, right? Or at least have more power than in other domains. And because of that, coupled with the fact that memes are universal language that transcends geographies, ethnicities, religions, and also it's the language of young people. And now also couple that with the fact that if everything is a meme coin and that is slowly becoming consensus, then you reach the conclusion that meme coins, they actually, or meme coins create better memes than altcoins, right? And so all of these kind of 18, 19 forces that I described, they all meet in the middle to kind of push meme coins further and further. And I think all of these are like, can be seen as independently bullish tailwinds for this, what I call the tech to meme rotation to continue.
Yeah, I think it will continue. And, you know, you mentioned that at some point it will be consensus, but I argue that, or I think you would agree with me that it's still relatively contrarian. You have this tweet here: the largest gains will come from seeing massive value in what others write off as a joke, right? So, you know, just being contrarian and then being right. Why do you think people have such a mental hurdle embracing meme coins? People just hate you, right? People are so angry. It's like, oh my God, like this is brain rot. You know, this, I can't believe this is happening, right? Like buy my, you know, $10 billion token, like L2, right? Like, why do you think people have such a mental hurdle?
Yeah, because I think people want to have this sense of self-importance that they are tech investors, akin to 2003 Silicon Valley VCs that are investing into the next big thing. But in reality, what people don't understand, well, some people understand it, but a lot of people still don't understand that the technology discussion, like crypto technology and crypto assets, they need to be discussed in completely different veins, right? For example, ZK Snarks or whatever, probably going to be a very important technology, but it doesn't mean that some loosely associated tokens are going to do well, right? And there isn't necessarily always a connection between the usage of the technology and the value appreciation of the token. Now, this is my argument. My argument is that for the past 10 years, crypto VCs have been engaged in what I call global IQ arbitrage. Let's call the VC quote unquote cartel. Let's call them 110 IQ. What they're simply doing is they are systematically exploiting the fact that the 80 to 90 IQ retail around the world, they are unfortunately thinking of tokens as quasi-equity, which they are obviously not, right? Because people see a logo, people see a ticker, people see a coin or something, a financial asset, they think, oh, it's like stocks, right? It's like Nike or Mercedes or whatever, right? But obviously that's the trick here. That's the trick that has allowed tech token founders to enrich themselves for the past 10 to 12 years, right? And I think this is slowly coming to an end. I think the anti-VC sentiment hasn't even peaked yet, and the tech to meme rotation hasn't even peaked yet. And I think sort of these trends that I'm describing, they're set to continue.
Yeah, and one, I guess, personal anecdote that I can share is, you know, I asked this because for the past month, I've just been embracing meme coins, and I asked my community on Twitter, hey, like, are you enjoying my meme coin degen arc? And I thought everyone was going to say, yeah, like Taiki, he's back. He used to be DJ, now he's mid-curve. But no, like the majority of the people, like 60% said, no, like please go back to DeFi. And there's this quote from Market Wizards, like with the book series from Ed Saikoda. He says that everyone gets what they want out of markets. And looking back, trying to be self-aware here, I realized that me just analyzing DeFi coins, like buying them, it was just a way for me to feel smart. Like I do all this research. I look at the numbers. I feel better about myself. I make a little bit of money, and then I feel really good. But it doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't really matter what like anyone else wants. It matters what the market wants, and the market wants memes. So if I'm going to be a profit maxi, I have to embrace it, right? That's kind of like the mental progression that I've come to for the past 4 years. What was your mental progression, right? Because you used to be like a Bitcoin maxi. Like when did what was your light bulb moment that like all this is like everything's a meme and you have to embrace meme coins?
I'm still a Bitcoin maxi, and at least when it comes to like money and stores of value.
Right.
I think essentially, similarly to how BTC is a vampire attack on fiat and gold, I think meme coins are a vampire attack on altcoins. But it actually goes deeper than that. I think meme coins are essentially a vampire attack on the world, or the contemporary culture and the contemporary situation that younger generations find themselves in. But essentially, I think the way you should think of it is, it's like a wolf that was pushed into a corner and he finally kind of decides to bite back. And I think this is kind of like what emergence of meme coins is. Essentially, we, the younger demographics, we're essentially creating a new asset class in order to try to make it in this world, right? Now, I never really liked alts, and a lot of the things that I'm saying right now, I've been saying word for word in 2017. So I actually do like alts that launch at cheap valuations or give people some way to get in like below 50 million. I think that's fair. I think that's realistic. But what I hate is when something that has no users launches like above 10 billion. I think that's egregious. I think it's extractive. I think it's wrong, frankly. Now, the way I see it is, I've been saying since 2018 that the token is more important than the product. And I'm saying the same sentences today. Nothing's ever changed. I think it simply takes the market like 5 to 6 years to come to certain realities. And the rise of meme coins, in my mind, actually represents maturation of the space and purification of the space. And meme coins are actually going to end up acting as a checks and balances system against a lot of grift that's happening in the world. So a lot of people think that meme coins mean that the space is becoming dumber, but I think that meme coins mean that the space is becoming smarter.
Yeah, I do agree because, like you said earlier, I mean, I used to think of these coins as quasi-equity. And as I talk to more people, as I experience, just holding these cucked coins, over time, I wisen up, I start to see the market for what it is, not what I want it to be. So I think, everyone has that progression. I think, one thing I recommend, so I have a lot of mid-curve friends, right? As a result of being like mid-curve, right? But I tell my friends, just sell 10% of your ETH for like a meme. And then you'll have like this insane post-nut clarity. Like it'll just feel so much better, right? And if you're right about ETH, then it doesn't matter. It's going to go up, right? But just the act of just selling even a little bit, I think will allow people to just at least open up your mind more, right? I think people are kind of just, too narrow in their thinking. People just think meme coins are scams, but everything is a meme. It's, I think you had this quote, like it's all about, let me just pull this up. Meme coin is a misnomer. It's 30% about the meme. It's 70% about the people. And the reason tech alts have pumped before is because it allowed people to get in cheap and it pumped super hard. And then we have like Chainlink God, being the main character and whatnot. And then, I'm sure in the next 12 months, there's going to be, like different types of main characters and whatnot. So speaking of like the timelines and whatnot, let me just pull. I just love this tweet. Like when I saw this, I just started laughing. Not because I think it was ridiculous, but because I think it can get this ridiculous. The big meme coin winners of this cycle are here right now. And I think this is like pointing at Doge at like 500 million market cap or something. And we see like this insane parabola. We're still early in the grand scheme of things. Year 4 is when the parabolic moves happen. So I think a question for you is Doge is currently at 40 cents. And I think the entire meme coin sector can benefit the higher Doge goes. So do you have like any idea of like where Doge can go? Do you think it can flip Ethereum, Solana? Like, do you have any ideas for like Doge itself? Sorry, I wasn't sharing the screen. I was referring to this one.
Yeah, so I think Doge probably hits $1 this cycle and possibly even more. Obviously, the recent events with Elon Musk and Vivek being kind of appointed to lead the Department of Government Efficiency obviously is going to be bullish, and people are going to be seeing this quote unquote ticker all over social media for the next 4 years. So I would not be surprised at all if Doge hits $1. That's the base case. It's consensus, but I think in this context, it's not the kind of consensus that you want to be fading.
Yeah, and I uploaded a podcast with Chao Wing, and he said that Doge is now the official meme coin of the U.S. government, and I'm like, wait, that's so true. That is so true. I just thought that was hilarious. And speaking of, I guess meme coins. Of course, I always like try to analogize what's happening now with the past because it just allows me to rationalize what's happening. And I think someone shared this tweet, Binance. So this is from August 10th of 2020. Binance is listing YFI. And then, people were making a spreadsheet of all these DeFi tokens that were being listed back in DeFi summer because, DeFi summer was insane. And I have a feeling that the meme coin, the DeFi summer of the cycle is going to be like meme coins. And, Coinbase listed Pepe and WIF. Robinhood is relisting Solana, right, after they delisted it at the lows and like other meme coins and whatnot. What do you think the effects, so obviously these big sexes are listing meme coins. What do you think that means for the trenches? Do you think that's going to create some massive wealth effect? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, sex listings are important because there's still a lot of people around the world that are using sexes and not using the chain. So the way you should see it is it simply adds to distribution and adds to liquidity. They still remain a very important part of the formula.
Got it. And I'm going to ask you about your meme coin picks later, but this is an audience question. Mr. Smile Udan says, I think you posted some videos. You post a lot of inspirational videos on your Twitter. I just love them. I like all of them. And you said that the people that will work really, really hard and lock in 2025 will be rewarded in 2026. So obviously you mentioned that you have your meme coin picks already finalized, or 90% is finalized. So what are you doing now? Are you just locked in, just like managing the community in the Telegram chats? What are you doing nowadays?
Yeah, so I actually tweeted about it this morning. I said there are 2 ways to make it, or 2 ways to survive. One is hyper gambling on chain, and the other is finding like hardcore communities of believers. And this aligns with my overall thesis that the meme coin asset class is kind of has actually 2 subcategories. One is like the short-term gambling, and the other is more kind of long-term community building, trying to build the next Doge, right? And I'm more interested in the latter. So community building of all kinds, artwork, media, growth, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, giveaways, competitions, just Twitter stuff, and everything in between.
Got it. So I guess you're just, locked in. And, I've been also looking for meme coins because of course you have your meme coin picks, but, you're open to they're having hundreds of billion-dollar meme coins. And you said that to make generational wealth, you have to identify the cults, the strong communities, mission coins and whatnot. So Another audience question is, how does one go around researching the cults? Is there a specific way or method by which you identify? So like, what do you need to see to have a new cult forming? Because, you already identified a cult. I'm sure there are going to be new cults. Like, what are the characteristics that you think people should look out for?
Yeah, so for me personally, I only looked at things that were at least 3 months old. Maybe you can go a bit more aggressive and lower that down to 2 or 1. But either way, it's not something that just launched today, right? You need some time to create a cult. In my experience, I think it takes something along the lines of like 7 to 8 months for like something to be deserved to be called a cult in our context at this juncture. And this is a kind of a big argument why I think most of them have already been created. Why? Because, if you agree with me, or if I'm right that we only have around a year left, then there's only so much time left for that kind of like a airplane, like a landing strip or like takeoff strip to exist in terms of time, right? And the other thing I would say, you want to see 2 or 3 dips that are like negative 70% or more, because what that does is it flushes away the quote unquote non-believers. And then you have the believers that are joining, or the believers that are left, or the believers that like own more. And those kind of people, that's exactly the kind of demographics you want during future pumps were you to succeed, because those people are not going to sell even for 100x. Also, also on chain, there's so many things you can check. Diamond handedness ratios, average time held, decentralization, various forms of distribution. You can use the Gini coefficient, the HHI coefficient. You can see what the average investment is per wallet. And I think you will be able to intuitively grasp, because like what I call cults, they rank very, very highly or very, very well on a lot of these metrics. But also that's kind of on the objective side. On the subjective side, I mean, for me personally, I really want to resonate with the artwork and resonate with the videos and resonate with the people. And there needs to be a unique vibe in the Telegram chat, Discord chat, etc. Right? So combining all of these things together is how you build a picture, right?
Hey, Taiki here. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. I don't run YouTube ads or have sponsors on this channel, so I'd really appreciate it. Your engagement will help this video reach more people, which will allow me to book better guests in the future. Now back to the episode. I think a couple months ago, you came up with your top 10 picks of the cycle, and you said that you're sticking with them. So first of all, I really applaud you for just being super transparent, just having a list, having your wallets, pretty public, and just just having this social contract to not sell and whatnot. But one question I had is, the meme coin space, the crypto markets are rapidly evolving, and the metas of 3 months ago, maybe not the metas now, right? So like, why did you decide to just make your picks so early? Because now, like, it's hard for you to change your mind, right? Because if you want to add a new coin to the list, like what do you do? Do you think you're able to add coins to the list? Do you think that if you feel that you're wrong about one particular coin, is it possible for you to sell and add a new one? Have you ever thought about that? This is something that's been on my mind, and I want to hear from your words or your mouth.
I think the crypto markets are evolving for sure, cycle to cycle. But if you study past cycles, then the big winners, they run for like over a year, sometimes even 2 years in a row. And, first of all, I think you would agree that this is a meme coin cycle. I'm sure there's going to be different meme coin metas, but the one factor that's very important is it needs to be like a very, very, very passionate community, no matter what, right? And, I'm sure there will be runners that I'll miss, and I'm totally cool with that. But for me, I know from past cycles that the people that were successful in crypto, they were people who bought coins and they held them for a year, even 2 years, right? And that's what I've decided to do with my portfolio. even after all of the recent metas, I still think that my coins are going to end up being some of the biggest, and I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to that opinion right now.
But I guess like one trait of a good investor slash trader is the ability to change your mind, right? And you do have to admit that there is a chance that like one of these community or one of these tokens, maybe the community isn't as strong as you thought they were. Like, are you are you open to selling like one of these, at some point once like the thesis is invalid, like whatever like the reason might be, or are you just saying like, these are my final picks and like, I'm not going to change my mind?
I'm not selling any until Q4 of 2025, regardless of whether their price performance is going to be strong or weak.
Got it. Okay. No, I respect that. Are you open to adding more coins to your list, or is that something that you're not considering?
I might add one or two, but I want to be extremely conservative because my whole strategy and my whole philosophy is to not be jumping from thing to thing, to not be like, quote unquote, calling new coins every week, every 2 weeks, but rather I think it's much more valuable if you are loyal to your existing picks. Why? Because I believe what people actually want is safety and not gambling. And when the more coins you call, you diminish that safety. Because right. you have to be selective in terms of your holdings and your beliefs. So for me, I would rather kind of pursue what you would call kind of like a tight aggressive strategy in poker. I would rather like think like measure 100 times, pick once type of situation. And I'm very comfortable with my existing picks, and I'm sticking to them for now.
Got it. Okay, so you are open to maybe one or two, but probably not more, because then it kind of, you don't want to be just jumping the gun and chasing and whatnot. Obviously, you don't have to mention, like with the ticker and whatnot, but like, would you be open to, let's say, like AI memes? Because this is the meta that I've been embracing. GOAT was the reason I just completely got out of the mid curve, or at least I'm trying to get out of the mid curve. You haven't really spoken about it. You did mention that, you're interested in it, but there's no the time component is what you're a little bit concerned about. It hasn't been tested because it's spin up only. Are you open to identifying a potential AI cult coin within the AI meta? Or like, do you have any thoughts on like whether this has any legs?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So first of all, my whole strategy, and if you kind of notice all of my past 10 picks, I like to buy things that have been out there for at least several months. And frankly, the longer the better, because then I can see that a bunch of time has passed, but the community is still vibing, right? The second thing is I only ever bought during big dips. I never bought like rips. I only bought during a very big retracement. And, with that strategy, you're going to miss a lot of runners, but you're also not going to be like buying tops, right? And, for me, that has worked quite well so far. So I don't like to buy something that's been up only. I like to buy things when people temporarily forget about them, right? The third thing is, I'm not here to kind of like fight against your thesis, but right. Instead I'll present my own. I think it's undeniable that AI is going to continue improving in the coming years, and it's going to be making kind of exponential strides. I think the issue with that is we have seen in the last 2 years that the cost in terms of time, skill, and labor to whip up a large code base, that cost is collapsing very, very quickly. And I think what you're going to end up seeing is defensible moats in anything technological related in the crypto sphere. I think they're going to diminish to zero. Why? Because, if it's open source, even if you're not a scam alt, even if you're a legit alt producing revenues, a lot of the current fees are no longer going to be viable And I think because thousands of people are going to be creating open source code bases that are going to be cheaper or even completely free, and they're going to be battle testing them, and they're going to be forking them over and over and over them, and even AI agents are going to be battle testing the code, et cetera, right? So I think, initially the vision for blockchain was to build a world without middlemen, and my belief is that the long-term future is that all blockchain things should be free or almost free or at cost at least. And I think slowly but surely that's where the world is going to continue to trend. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is valuable in a world where AI is everywhere, right? And my actual belief is that, and not just in crypto, but we'll return to crypto as well. I think in the coming 50 years, the things that are going to be at a premium are actually going to be the things that are biological, right? Outside of crypto, it's going to be fitness, health, meetings, community, party, things like that, right? And inside of crypto, this is why I'm bullish on BTC and cult meme coins, is because their value proposition, it's not technological. Their value proposition is based on community, belief, faith. You could argue to some extent liquidity and Lindy effects as well, but it's not really tech, right? The problem with tech, and this applies to both AI or just regular tech, is that every few months, there's going to be some shinier thing, some faster thing, some better thing, some more advanced thing. And so you can never develop that consistent sense of cult safety because, there's always going to be some faster breakthrough. And for a new thing starting from scratch to integrate that technology, it's going to be easier than for like an established project to quickly switch their whole giant spaghetti code base to this and upgrade it overnight. You know what I mean? So that's why, there's so many alt L1s that no one is talking about from past cycle. Now there's new shinier thing. 3 years from now, there's going to be another shinier thing, and so on and so forth. So maybe that happens with AI meme, maybe not. But, we're already seeing that there's we started with AI memes that is just like a pump fun and a guy started. Now we had AI memes where the AI itself created a pump fun. Now, then we had added even wallets that they autonomously control. And you see there's always this chain of upgrades, right? And now when they release GPT-4 or GPT-5, one of the OpenAI or Anthropic employees or whatever, maybe they go and create some other coin, right? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I'm just speculating here. But yeah. There's always that sense of insecurity. Now, my belief is that BTC and cult meme coins that I like, the non-gambling focused ones, their whole value proposition is to find security in the digital world. And this security comes about groups of people. I don't know how strong these AI communities are, but personally, I don't really know how to meme them, right? So are they really meme coins? I would say they're more like AI agent coins, right? They're something completely different because, I can maybe meme like Apu or Popcat to my grandma, but I don't know how I would meme the Cerebros or goats of the world or whatever,
Yeah, I guess there is, at least with dog coins, it's like, oh yeah, it's a cute dog. But I guess with an AI agent coin, you have to kind of explain it, right? Maybe it's like a mid-curves way of playing.
I think, coins. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think DeFi people love the AI coins. I think because AI coins started a bit later, so the DeFi people that missed the meme cycle thus far, they could join this new thing. But also, you guys like to draw your little graphics and relationships and code base functions and all of that, right? So you can kind of feel smart being oh guys, wait. I have read a lot about ChatGPT. Let me explain to you how GOAT works, right? And it's you feel a sense of almost like an intellectual satisfaction, right? And I think there's something here as well. Now, that being said, I do think some of the earlier AI coins will probably maintain a premium because first mover advantage, second mover advantage, these things definitely exist, kind of like CryptoPunks and so on. But AI acceleration is happening even faster than acceleration of other technologies like cryptography and distributed systems. So there's always going to be a shinier thing, right? And I don't want to be playing this like next shinier thing, next shinier thing, next shinier thing game. I want to be playing a community building game, right? So they call it sentient memes, but are they really more sentient than 50,000 real people? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that hurt me a little bit, I'm just trying to rationalize my meme coin degeneracy by, just like explaining why, like this meme coin is more sentient and whatnot. I will push back, you also like to draw stuff to rationalize your stuff. You have a bunch of bubbles here. I do agree. I think like after the bear market in 2022, I really did think that ETH had a really strong moat. But now that Trump is in office, I'm not even sure what that moat is because, ETH has an ETF, maybe Solana gets an ETF. The devs are going to Solana, the users are going to Solana. I mean, so I can definitely see the idea that the only investable assets or tradable assets, investable assets are just Bitcoin as a store of value, and then just really strong cult communities, because there's no way, or it's very, very unlikely, or it's more likely that ETH gets surpassed by another L1 than Doge gets surpassed by another meme. So it's more so betting on the cult safety, the community. Is that kind of like the way that, is like the best way to interpret your thesis?
Exactly. Yeah. So that graphic, essentially, I believe there are like quote unquote 4 like energies or value drivers in crypto. And this applies to every single crypto asset from BTC to like the lowest meme coin, right? And those 4 energies are like, you have your store of value, monetary hodl demand, call it low velocity, right? Then you have your kind of like commodity use case, fuel, transactional demand, call it high velocity. Then you have like the cash flow stuff. I do believe that some of the better DeFi projects are going to end up becoming quasi equity in the future for sure, because once regulations clean up or whatever, they're gonna like they're gonna have like a PE ratio, PS ratio, whatever, and we'll be able to value them just like we value stocks. But I'm not interested in that. I don't think actually the market is interested in that either. Why? Because if you get rid of the mimetic component, then you could argue that a lot of them are already overvalued. The second thing is no one with a net worth under $20 million comes to crypto in order to trade stocks or trade equities. If I wanted to trade equities, I would just trade equities and TradFi. So what people want is those once in a 4-year parabola that happen. And they want to be they want to be in that parabola. And I think this parabola is happening with memes this cycle. So why would I focus on anything other than that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I posted this meme yesterday, which everyone really liked. It's it's like this bell curve meme. The mid curve says the pump is over, and then the right curve is saying the retards are coming, and the left curve is like, yes, Butterino, we are coming. So I'm like, yes, like people come to crypto to just punt meme coins, and maybe like hold ETH and Bitcoin and Solana as like a quasi store of value. Does this resonate with you? Does this meme resonate with you?
I think even the guys in the middle are coming, right? So I think all three are coming. I don't like to. I don't. Yeah. Like there's definitely a semblance of truth here, but I think that even the mid curvers are going to be buying meme coins in droves. So all three cohorts are coming.
Yeah, look at me. Yesterday Pepe was up 33%. I just bought. I didn't even know what the valuation was. I just aped. I'm like, all right. I sold a little bit of ETH to buy Pepe, and I had like this post-nut clarity. I just felt so good about myself. I don't know what it is. The selling ETH just gave me so much dopamine. I still hold ETH, by the way. I still I'm still kind of.
It feels like liberation, right?
Yeah, liberation. I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do this. I thought it was socially unacceptable to sell my ETH, but I guess I can. Yeah.
So this is my thesis, right? It doesn't make sense to hold ETH because if you're bullish on ETH, then the ETH altcoins, like the top 5 ETH altcoins, they're going to do better than ETH. And if you're bullish on Sol, then you shouldn't hold Sol. You should hold the top 5 Sol altcoins. And if you're not bullish on any of this thing, then don't hold anything. So it doesn't actually, well, the way I see, like, unless you're worth like 3 billion, you buy the top cults of the chain rather than the chain itself.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I've come to the conclusion that probably like for me, the best way to play the cycle is maybe a barbell of just majors and then memes and just stop trading and just believe, of course we can argue back and forth about which coins are better and whatnot. But if this is a meme coin super cycle, as long as you, pick decent, right? As long as you don't buy like complete scams, it's probably gonna be okay. I think the reason a lot of people like your content is that, you really spoke to the people, right? What you said really resonated. And I think that's why, people are following you and whatnot. So I'm sure, this video will get, a bunch of views and whatnot. People are trying to run it up from, let's say, low to mid 5 figures to 7 figures, right? Let's say, I think that's like everyone's goal, at least for cyclers. What advice would you have for them to not fumble the cycle, right? If we do have 6 to 12 months left, like how do they make it?
Wait for a dip, buy DCA over 2-3 weeks, and just hold for a year. It literally is that simple. It's simple, but it's hard because of temptation and FOMO and fear and greed. And it takes 3 cycles to learn this. Everybody who's made big money in crypto, they bought and held for like 18 months. That's the same story every single time, every time. And that's what you have to do. And there's going to be big dips. If you want a 200x in memes, then of course there's going to be negative 70% drops. It's like, it just can't happen without the other, right? So a lot of people, they sell too early, they sell on a dip, they rotate to some flavor of the week bullshit, and that's how they lose their money. But the key, and that's what I've been preaching for the past like 7 months already, is to just buy and hold. That's it. But now the only debate becomes, what do you buy? And I guess that's like the final question to answer, right?
Yeah. But I guess maybe you can just own a basket of the top ETH Solana memes, right? In the multi-billions, that gives you like a sense of safety, right? The cult safetiness. And then, with your own research, the viewer, right? You don't have to buy Murad's coins, but maybe, Murad has given a framework for what kind of coins will probably do well, right? The cults are being formed right now. Maybe just join one. One thing that I did was I just embraced some like random coin. I joined the Telegram community, and like the favorite term that you came up with is free cult labor. Like I resonated with that so much. There's so much free cult labor happening in the trenches right now. Like how I have a question. Like, let's say like, someday in the future, there's a book about you. Like, what would be the title of your autobiography?
Yeah. So first of all, just for the sake of transparency and honesty, I was not the one who came up with the term free cult labor. It came from the SPX 6900 community.
Got it.
And, that community has actually, people don't know, but they started so many metas this cycle. And they were the first CTO. They were the first double CTO. They created the term stop trading and believe in something. They created the term free cult labor. They were the first meme coin of the cycle to call themselves a cult back in the summer of 2023, and so on and so forth. That list goes on and on, right? And a lot of people now like believe in something, like every community says that, right? But it's something that SPX 6900 community has pioneered. What would my autobiography be called? I'm not sure. I think we're still too early in my life's chapters in order to decide. But I'm a big believer in no matter what happens, you stand back up and you try again and again and again. So that's kind of my life's motto.
Nice. Yeah. Murad's book is still being written. It's one of the history books. I mean, this is like you said like 3.5, right? Or third and a half cycle, let's say. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people come and go. What do you think are the most common traits of successful investors in the space, and what are the most common mistakes that people make that you think should be avoided?
Yeah. So the winners, they buy and hold, like in the middle of the cycle, they buy and hold winners and they hold them until the end of the cycle. And it takes a very unique personality to also buy the right thing early, but also like not to round trip it. And also, a lot of people, I think they made a mistake of over trading. And that's what I've kind of learned over the years. For example, I'm holding a PopCat position since like 100 million market cap, 150 million market cap. And right now, yesterday just hit 2 billion. And, I had so many temptations to sell in that, like since April during that time frame. But every time I kind of like convinced myself not to. And every time, like 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm like, thank God I didn't sell. Thank God I didn't sell, right? So a lot of people, they want to be a trader. They want to be a rotator. They want to be a timer. They think, oh, I'm just going to like sell a bit of this, buy a bit of that. The other thing is harder. I'm going to make more money and I'm going to get more coins of this. But 8 out of 10 times, whenever you do that, you end up losing money on both,
Yeah, stop trading and believe something. You mentioned, thank God I didn't sell, thank God I didn't sell. But at some point, it's going to be, thank God I didn't buy, thank God I didn't buy, right? But I guess you still think that it's pretty early. I guess how do you, I'm sure, because meme coins create such insane gains. Like, how do you resist the temptation to sell? Maybe from our because you're like this KOL. I know you don't like the term KOL, but you're like this KOL, so there's like a social contract. But I'm sure you've had temptations to sell Bitcoin before, right? Like, how do you resist that? Do you just internalize like the belief and you just choose to just manifest it within yourself?
Well, I just don't think we are at the ultra euphoria yet, and it's pointless. It's pointless to touch any coin before the ultra euphoria. It's very simple. I don't think that we are like have those like top signals popping out yet. And once we do, it might make sense to take some coins off the table. But right now, I just know that holders are the ones who defeat everybody in the end. So that's the way I try to live my financial life.
Yeah. And it's more comfy, right? Like, you don't have to worry about new narratives. You're just like chilling in your own lane, just like, just sitting there, stroking your hair.
It's liberating. It's liberating for sure.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, like, 90% of people or 95% of traders like lose money. So you just have to believe, I guess. What would be the top signals? You mentioned like the time frame, right? Like October or Q4 next year, Q1 2026. Is it like, do you think it'll be as simple as playing the 4-year cycle? And, at the top, people will be saying this time is different. And then you just sell and you just like chill. Like, do you think history repeats? Like, what will be the signals aside from like, macro that like, what do you need to see for it to be like, okay, like this is getting way too euphoric. I'm going to have to take chips off the table.
Yeah. So first I'll say it's not enough just to believe. You also want to believe in the right thing. And the right thing in our context is believing in something where there's other genuine believers. And so it becomes kind of like a synergy. And, so it's very important for you to pick the things that you believe in correctly, because unfortunately, 99% of meme coin participants, they might lose money because they decided to believe in something that wasn't worth believing in. So you need to have a good taste. You need to have discernment, right? In terms of what I'll be looking at the top, I'll be studying the 2017 and 2021 tops to try to identify similarities. I'll be looking at the BTC, like there's already like 7 or 8 websites which have over 200 BTC on-chain signals each. I'll be looking at that. I'll be looking at similar metrics for Ethereum and Solana. And I'll be looking, of course, at social media stuff. I'll be looking at kind of like all the headlines from traditional mainstream media talking about this. And I'll be obviously looking at macro and TradFi stuff also.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I need to develop better taste. Maybe my taste has historically been very poor. But after my pivots to meme coins in the past month, I've had a lot of people saying, like, Taiki, I think you're right. Like, how do I get out of this, like, tech all eat maxi, like, mid-curve mentality? I'm sure you get this too. Like, I'm sure, like, you've done, like, you do like 3 interviews a week, right? Most of them are like just like mid-curve eats maxi or something. Like, what advice do you have for them to just embrace meme coins?
Yeah, they need to realize that the token and the product are completely separate things. That's where it all stems from, right? Yeah. And the product, that's one thing, but the token, that's a whole nother thing, right? And you need to realize that you may be right that it's a good product. You may even be right that people are going to use it, and you may even be right that it's going to generate revenue, but the token might not care, And you have to ask yourself, what kinds of tokens do people want to buy, right? And then it's things that have already done somewhat well thus far. It's things that fit into the narrative of this cycle. It's things that have good momentum already. And it's things that can be memed very well because, ask yourself, right? Next year, when TikTok and Instagram and Reddit and 4chan and YouTube are going to be talking about crypto, what are they going to be talking about, right? Are they going to be talking about like DeFi, like liquid restaking derivatives, or they're going to be, or are they going to be, right? Or are they going to be talking about memes, which, by the way, are much easier to meme on social media rails, right? And, the culture is changing, and you need to learn to dance to the madman's tune,
Yeah. It's what the market wants, You can either fight it or embrace it. Yeah. Well, thank you, Murad, for taking the time. I really enjoyed this conversation. Do you have any final words of advice to the listeners today to prepare themselves for, this meme coin super cycle?
Not financial advice, but buy SPX 6900, Giga, and Apple.
Yes. Oh man, I did not. Okay. SPX. Okay, SPX 1600. It is better than S&P 500, right? Because there's 6,400 more. You add 6,400.
Well, it definitely has more upside. I'll tell you that.
It definitely has more upside. Okay, well, good non-financial advice. Thank you, Murad, and I hope everyone enjoyed the episode today. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the content. If you want more free content around crypto, DeFi, and on-chain farming, please check out the link in the description below for our free newsletter. Also, I run a premium community called the Humble Farmer Army, so if you're interested in that, I will also put the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye.